Hey, good morning, guys. So I just wanted to kind of give you a quick video about what we're doing right now, what we're doing for the week. Before I jump into this stuff, some little updates. In terms of grades, we got a little of an update this past week from the district and the state about what grades will look like. Um, if you've maybe heard this from other teachers, I won't talk too much, but I just want to say this, that they're doing some interesting things with your grades, and I don't really want to talk about it at great length until I have the full picture so that we can kind of make wise and informed decisions. However, I do want to say this. The thing they stress to us is that the assignments being given to you, and many of you, the juniors who are taking class again, finishing up the class next year, have done a really good job of being engaged in doing your work. So thank you for that. For those of you who have disengaged and stopped doing work or never really started doing work to begin with, just want to give you kind of a warning here. The work that you were supposed to do will be going in the grade book. The work that I'm going to be giving you going forward will be going in the grade book. They're great. The assignments that are being given to you will apply to your grade. And if you don't do them, there will be repercussions for that. Um, Again, I think I've done a pretty good job of making myself available. So if there is an issue that is keeping you from doing your work, you've had every opportunity and avenue to tell me that. And if I'm just looking at you and you're not doing it and you haven't reached out to me, then that kind of tells me that maybe you're just not doing it because you don't want to do it. Anyway, so once I get the full picture, I'll pass it along to you so you can understand exactly how you will be graded in this. All right, as per usual, you'll get the virtual attendance form from me. Go ahead and just click on that, fill it out, make sure you are acknowledging everything. All right, so in terms of the plan going forward, I was told that instruction will stop at the end of May. So normally how instruction runs through May, and then there's that week exam week in the first week of June. I'm being told that they're going to adhere to that schedule for the time being. If something changes, I will let you know. So I just want to lay out what we're doing this week, but also kind of the plan going forward. So the last little thing I want to do with you guys is a kind of brief book study of something called the Tibetan Book of the Dead. We've talked about kind of the rules and the what does it mean to live a good life according to Buddhism. We've gotten an idea of what the afterlife, those kind of factors that contribute to what happens to you in the afterlife. Now, what makes Buddhism a little different than what we've talked about before is, remember, in Judaism they didn't have a definitive answer to what the afterlife looked like. In Hinduism, all we knew was they believed in reincarnation. All right, we've talked about the idea of rebirth, but Buddhism has this kind of slightly different approach to it. Now, I want to be clear here that the Tibetan approach is different than maybe other Buddhist approach, but within it is this general guideline of the attitudes about what happens when you die. All right, because then, yeah, we know there's a rebirth, but there's actually this interesting middle phase, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead kind of talks about that. So we are going to just read two of the three sections. All right. In total, it's I think you're going to read about, I think, 45 pages. So not overwhelming. I'm just going to break it up into two parts. So there's the second and third part. We'll discuss the first part kind of as a class in a live class. All right. So on Canvas, you will find just the kind of a chart organization, a graphic organizer to help you kind of take notes as you're reading through uh, Bardo number two. Um, and just, there's a place for you to kind of write down the main happenings of the story or the plot points or whatever you want to call them. And then there's a section for you to do the kind of like big questions, ideas, things you want to ask. Like I've been doing the last few weeks, we're going to do a discussion board for this stuff. I'll post a couple questions. I want you to respond to them. I'm still in my head putting together kind of some type of final assessment that goes with this. Um, so like I said, this is actually going to probably be to the end, I would guess, depending on what ultimately I decide to give you. Now, the only other thing I'm going to ask you to do besides finishing up the Tibetan Book of the Dead thing here is also because we've lost in time for those juniors who are coming back next year, I'm going to start to put out some information probably the last week of May, maybe a little bit earlier than that, about thinking about what to do about your IA for next year. I know we haven't covered everything, but at least let's start to kind of like gather some ideas. It's kind of like an interest gathering form. And I'm going to reach out to Ms. Williams and see if maybe we can start to pull things together. Because when we start the school year next year, the plan is for us to jump straight into the IA, get it done, or at least get most of it done, revisit it a little bit later, and then finish it up and not have to worry about it the rest of the year. Right? That's the plan. And so I think it's imperative that we kind of take a head running start on it. Also considering I was hoping to do Buddhism and Christianity this year, and obviously Christianity's gone out the window because of all this stuff. So it's obviously kind of like we do need to pick up some stuff to just to ease through the process faster. All right, I'm going to do a live class on the 7th. The reason I'm not doing it earlier is because of the A day, B day schedule. So here's what the live class will be this time. I will go through, instead of me just giving you video lecture notes, I'd rather kind of maybe try to interact with you through a live class on those things. Cool. So if you want to start reading it, reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead, go by all means, just a little bit of a heads up. It is a little wordy, which is why I'm not giving you a ton of it to read at a time, and I'm also breaking it up over several weeks here or a few weeks here, but also give you some historical background and context when we go and have our live class. Now, a couple things I want to kind of go over with you really quickly. So you will find a link to a copy of the Tibetan Book of the Dead on Canvas. Now, here's the thing about it, right? Let me pull it up so you can see what it is. All right, so the link will bring you here. This is a pretty awful version of the text to read. It's not very easy to move through. So you'll see over here, hopefully you can see it where it says see other formats. I recommend you click on that. And then what it does is it makes it a PDF version and you can go by page. So when you look at the graphical organizer I gave you page numbers for the different sections. The page numbers are references to this. So please make sure you click on that link. It'll be so much easier to read off of here. I don't know if you can actually download it. I don't think you can. The book is old enough, there's no copyright. So if you don't want to use this version of it, that's fine. There might be a slightly different translation, but the general ideas will still be there. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, reach out. If not, I'll see you in the live class on a few days. Like I said, I'm trying to take it easy on you, knowing that some of you have really tough schedules. But like I said, this is kind of the last little stretch of Buddhism. We'll be done with it, and then all I'm asking you to do is start really putting some thought in, maybe doing a little like research into your IA, so that we can come in the fall like ready to go and just get it out of the way and be done. Move on to content again. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will